Right, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, it's time now to shift our focus to some of the opportunities in Abu Dhabi's evolving capital markets and how exactly the ADX connects businesses and investors to growth and other emerging markets. To tell us more, please welcome our first guest, who is the Chief Strategy and Transformation Officer at Abu Dhabi Securities Exchange. He brings over 17 years in corporate strategy, delivering financial growth for Middle Eastern financial institutions, and he joined ADX from RAK Bank, where he was appointed by the Board of Directors to review, define, and execute the bank's group-wide strategy and transform its operating model. So please do welcome our first guest, Mr. Matias, Booka, Chief Strategy and Transformation Officer of Abu Dhabi Security Exchange. Delighted to have you here. Thank you so much. Thank you. And joining Mr. Matias Booka is our next guest, who is a regional partner at athGADLANG in the UAE. He is a seasoned finance professional and chartered accountant with extensive experience on financial management, strategy, and advisory services. With a huge background in various industries, he guides organizations through complex financial landscapes, helping them optimize performance and achieve sustainable growth. Please welcome Mr. Yasir Gadit, Regional Director at athGADLANG. A very warm welcome.
Hello. Thank you very much for the kind introduction. Assalamu alaikum and good morning, everybody. Good to see finally people entering the room, and it's almost full now by now. It's an absolute pleasure to be here in front of you and privileged to have been joined by the distinguished representative of ADX for what promises to be an exciting session today. When we talk about growth, it's interesting to know that growth means different to different people. For some, it's about increasing the market share. The others would call it maybe adding new product or service lines. For few, it could be entering into new markets or territories. But I personally feel that in the world of finance, growth and maturity for an organization comes in by going public and registering them with an exchange like ADX, which does not give you an access to the capital itself, but at the same time gives greater visibility, transparency, and more credibility. And we all know that over the period, ADX has created that vital platform by virtue of that where investors connect with the right opportunities and businesses connect with the capital. But today's session is more about, we'll understand on how ADX is contributing towards growth of individual investors and at the same time helping the economy overall. So my first question to you, Matias, would be, if you can share with the audience what ADX is all about and at the same time, what are the offerings?
So, good morning, everyone. First, thank you very much for ICAP of having us here today and giving us this opportunity. So to answer your question, ADX is the exchange of Abu Dhabi. We are now the 20th largest exchange in the world in terms of market cap, and we are a fully fledged exchange. That means we offer equities, derivatives, ETFs, SPACs, indexes, and we have around 1 million registered customers with us who go through a KYC process. And interesting enough, 40% of our customer base are actually foreigners.
So 40% of 1 million are foreigners?
Yes.
We're talking about 400,000.
Resident and non-resident,
okay.
Both, yeah.
So what role do you see that ADX is playing in making Abu Dhabi as a global financial hub?
So it's a great question because Abu Dhabi has very clear ambition to become the capital of capital. And within such an ecosystem, obviously, the exchange is a key player in this. And I think one thing that is hugely important is the demand we are seeing from international investors onto ADX and the listed companies this day in order to invest into the companies that are with us, but not only from an investing point of view, but and also from a listing point of view, there's substantial demand.
And when you talk about the international investors, Is there any specific emerging market that ADX is targeting, or maybe on the top list of it?
Yes. So let me give you a tiered answer when we talk about international investors. There is, first and foremost, substantial demand from the developed countries to invest into ADX companies. And why is that? Now, to put things into perspective, and I know we have here distinguished finance community, so you all will like numbers and stats. First and foremost, in 2023, ADX was the third largest IPO market in the world, after the US and China. And I think, thank you very much. I think that is a testament to the quality of the UAE and its leadership in driving the capital market. Secondly is, out of the top 20 largest IPOs in the world, 3 of them were in ADX. Now, people were saying that's unbelievable achievement, and of course, this is on the back of the investment, particularly from the athGADLANG group. But 2024, the trend is continuing. So if we include Lulu and the projections around Lulu, and which we'll talk about in a second, we are number 7 in the world as a listing venue, and Lulu will be somewhere 6th, 7th largest IPO again in the world. And what this does, in order to answer your question, this puts you on the map, because IPOs are massively, massively oversubscribed. They're performing extremely well in terms of price development, and therefore international investors want to access this growth story and the underlying quality of it.
Now, I've got a couple of questions from
Please.
what you answered. The first, when you talk about Lulu, everybody knows Lulu is everywhere in the listing part. We know they've got $750 million USD of profits recorded, more than 200 branches. They've got history of more than 50 years in the region. If you can share some insight, not the insight that anyone would benefit, but then yes, it would be very important for everybody to learn something new from you.
Okay, yeah. So let me make sure I'm not getting in trouble just for things that are publicly available.
This is a good opportunity for all of us to go viral today.
Yes. Thank you. So Lulu, very proud of having Lulu as an IPO on ADX. They're going to list somewhere 25%. So we're looking at 5 billion dirhams roughly. Target price around 2-ish dirhams per share. So what we're seeing, and I think that's the part I can happily talk about, very strong pickup, very strong demand for on the investor side, both locally as well as internationally. And it's certainly going to be a landmark transaction. Super attractive dividend yield as well has been already announced. And you still have time till Monday, I believe, for subscription. And the final price will be announced as per prospectus on Wednesday.
Most of the information that he just said is already available. It's just that he put it in the right words, good words, fancy words, but thank you very much for that. But talking about Pakistan, since this event is from ICAP, and then we would want to understand how ADX sees this Pakistani market and then the investors from Pakistan.
Yes. So this is also coming back to your earlier question, which I haven't fully answered around emerging markets. So now, interestingly enough, you have obviously a very large expat community in the UAE. I'm one of them, and we all have investment needs also outside the UAE, be it outside ADX or DFM. So one investment vehicle that we are offering are ETFs, which allows you to invest into a basket of companies listed in another geography, and we have a number of emerging market ETFs there. Now, coming specifically to Pakistan, and I just got the numbers, the latest numbers as of this morning, the Pakistani ETF is the best performing ETF on ADX this year. It's up 42%. So congratulations on that, by far best performing. Very strong demand again, diverse investors into the ETF. I looked at the IMF projection for the macroeconomy for Pakistan next year, and we are very bullish in terms of the further development of the Pakistani ETF. Additionally, the Pakistani investors, resident, are a substantial part of the investment community on ADX and are very active.
Exciting numbers. Everybody in the room knows ESG is the buzzword, especially in the region. There was a huge conference last week organized by IFAG, where most of the members were there. We would just like to know, as one last question, on how ADX sees, when you talk about international investors, they've got their eyes on ESG. What initiatives ADX is taking in educating the investors as well as the organizations?
True. So it's a great question. For international investors, particularly, ESG is of great importance when it comes to make their investment decision and to allocate capital around the world. So what we have done is we have, together with the GCC, adopted a common ESG standards, which we enforce as an exchange. We have 29 standards, and as of today, all our listed companies have to publish an ESG report that follows that. That standard follows the World Federation of Exchanges, and we are taking a number of our listed companies yearly on roadshows around the globe, London, New York, and Singapore this year. And there, the international investment community is asking a lot of questions about ESG, but we also went a step further. So ESG is not only about reporting, it's also about green financing. So as of today, we have around $7 billion of green instruments listed on ADX. We had a $500 green sukuk. We have another with Aldeep. So you can see, and the subscription was very strong. So we feel ESG is important. Green financing is there. It will take obviously time to further pick up, but the first big step has been made.
Absolutely fantastic. 7 billion is a huge number. On that note, would you be okay if I'll open the floor to the questions from the audience on this particular point? Anybody would like to ask anything on the from ADX? He's the man right in front of you, though they've got a stall outside right at the entrance. But anybody who would like to ask anything, we're more than happy to answer. Somebody? Anybody? Nobody.
Nobody. So okay. There's a gentleman there who raised his hand. Okay. Two gentlemen.
Two gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Mr. Matias. It was very insightful. I just wanted to ask about, you mentioned you have 29 GSC standards. So like, what is the compliance ratio? And is it like the compliance has to be done by the investment management companies, or it is optional as of now?
It's a very good question. Right now, we ask the companies to follow this, and they pretty much self-check on that. But there is a lot of push in the global community to have very strong compliance about adhering. Now, it's a very delicate situation in the sense of ESG, very important. Not all companies are actually fully equipped to not only report, to follow in it, because it's substantial work included. And as you can imagine, on ADX, but also on all other exchanges, you need to cater not only to the blue chip, right, with hundreds of thousands of employees, you also have smaller companies who need to adhere to it. So we're trying to find a balance for the investment communities and the listed companies that is doable, but it's safe to say the standards are strengthening and the requirements are increasing over time. That's a very clear direction we are setting at ADX, but we need to give the companies time to be able to adapt to that.
Right. Thank you. That's a smart response.
Thank you for your question.
You're welcome.
We've got another one from Mr. Faisal, His Excellency. So you had some question, yeah?
Oh, okay.
Okay, we will, and we've got something from, yeah. We'll take one last question before we leave here.
Oh, sorry. It's okay.
Can I ask a question now? Yeah, so you talked about the green finance and the $7 billion that have been raised by ADX. So do you require banks or companies to follow Poseidon principles to be able to raise the fund under green finance, or still not applicable when it comes to ADC requirements?
So if you want to raise a debt instrument, so unlike an IPO, there's very clear guidance of what is required. There's always a lead bank in between, and then it is a discussion with the lead bank on what are the requirements, what is the demand, which geography are they targeting. So it's a very bespoke discussion with a base set of requirements. And we're very happy at the stall outside to have a detailed discussion with you. We have our business development team here, and we can take you through this.
On that note, I hope he answered to your question. And then in case, like you mentioned, if you did not, we've got a stall outside. Thank you very much, Matias, for this insightful session. A lot of information that has been passed. And we'll see you outside then. Thank you.
Thank you, Yasir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. As always, please do stay on the stage, as of course we have our token of appreciation for you. Please welcome Mr. Asad Faraz and Mr. Arsalan Khalid, who will now present the trophies and the token of appreciation to Mr. Matias Booka, Chief Strategy and Transformation Officer of Abu Dhabi Securities Exchange, and of course, to Mr. Yasir Gadit, Regional Director at athGADLANG. A brilliant conversation there and some of the incredible opportunities in Abu Dhabi's evolving capital markets. And yes, any further questions, please do make sure that you head on outside the exhibition area as well. Thank you so much once again. Another brilliant, very important discussion then. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and experience with us. Very, very much appreciated indeed.